Oh, wow. Thank you, Jen. I had planned a couple of jokes, but then I can't really top that. So all I want to say is, personally, I can say that Jen is in no small reason the reason I'm at Code for America, and I think I can speak for most of the folks in this audience that one of the reasons you're in this room is because of her leadership, her courage, and her vision. So can I just get a round of applause for Jen and everything that she's done for this movement?
So good morning and welcome to all of you. Just out of curiosity, how many people were here for the first Code for America event in 2011? And hands up, 2012. Okay, so a good number of you. For those of you who are here previously, reach out to a new face, as David Eves was saying. Welcome them to the network and make them feel right at home. And for those of you who are new to the Code for America Summit, we really hope you, over the next couple of days, are inspired and energized and make really good connections with people and with ideas. We're really excited about what's going to happen over the next several days for several reasons. First, the session lineups are going to be interesting speakers and fascinating stories and great insight. You're going to have ample time for discussion, informal discussion among yourselves at breaks, over lunch, and in the evening. What we're most excited about, though, is the potential for this group of people to roll up our sleeves and get things done. You know this about yourselves. This is a room of builders and doers, where action is much more important than talking. And that's evidenced in the enormous work that's been generated and created over the last couple of years. So it's tremendous. Now, all of us know there's a lot of work to do. We're going to be talking about a lot of things over the next few days. We're going to talk about how to focus on harder and harder problems to solve using technology and using the community. We're going to be talking about sustainability and how do we sustain those impacts that we're having. We're going to be talking about those policies and procedures and processes that really just don't work any longer. We'll be talking about how do we engage citizens more meaningfully every day in what we do with our cities and our government. And we'll be talking about interoperability. How do we organize things in a way that allows collaboration to be much more effective? We're confident because we believe this room, and as Jen said, this movement, has the capability and the character to make that happen. And we want to encourage you over the next 3 days to roll up our sleeves and really get some good work done.
That's right. It's a rare opportunity that this group of people gets to come together. I don't know if all of you know this, but a couple weeks ago, Code for America celebrated its fourth birthday. We're officially now a toddler. 4 years ago, Code for America was, I think at best, a set of incorporation papers in Jen's hands, no staff, no office, and just a big idea. Well, where are we now? Look around the room. Code for America is now a network of over 500 people and over 100 governments working around the world. You, this group of people, this room, this is Code for America. That's what's changed in 4 years. So before we give you a little preview of this conference, Bob and I just wanted to take a second and recognize the people in this room. So let's start with the city government partners that we have here, and local governments of all kinds. Now these are, if you know, the first year we only had 3 cities in our network, Boston, Seattle, and Philadelphia. Well, I'm pleased to tell you that today we have over 85 cities here, represented by over 130 change agents. These are people who are going to work every day inside City Hall, this is you, and breathing new life into that public institution that's serving all of us, our governments. So could we please have all of the government officials in the audience stand? Woo! Yeah!
And can we ask in particular the 2014 cities that are here in the audience to stand up? So, this morning we announced our class of 2014 in the fellowship program, both fellows and cities. And so we're proud to invite Atlanta, Charlotte, Chattanooga, Denver, Lexington, Long Beach, Mesa, Rhode Island, state, San Juan, sort of state, Giancarlo, and San Antonio. So welcome to the program. These were cities and states that were selected from 50 applications, and we are thrilled to see what's going to emerge in 2014. And to 2014 cities and fellows, this will be your stage next year, so see what happens this year, and I'll give you some good ideas for what happens next year. So thank you. Really looking forward to engaging you in 2014.
We've also got a great crop of fellows here in the audience. So the fellowship program was what we started with. It's still our bread and butter. We've now had 3 classes of fellows so far and entering into our 4th. Bob, what's it like working with the fellows?
So
I work with the fellows too, I promise. Sometimes.
Sort of depends on what part of the year we're in, but in general. Fellows, you're a talented, passionate group of people. You're good people. You have formidable skills, and you actually can take those skills anywhere. And you make a decision to come to Code for America and spend a year in service. And that's so admirable. You are the engines of learning for us. You're showing us what's possible. You are the folks that are giving us the ideas, giving us the motivation and the enthusiasm to do what we do. And so if you could stand up, we'd like to recognize your commitment.
Yeah. Yeah. And so as many of you know, over the last couple of years, what we've thought about doing is how do we scale, right? How do we take this Code for America idea that's bound up in the fellowship to scale? Well, what we've done is we've thought about scaling the outcomes of the fellowship, not necessarily the fellowship itself. So we've built new programs, right, that many of you are a part of. And one of them that I was pleased to work on last year and move into this year in our 2nd class is the Civic Startup Accelerator. Could all the entrepreneurs in the audience from Civic Startups please rise? Now, these are folks who are building businesses around the idea that government can work better. These are founders of companies, but in fact, founders also of a new industry of way of doing business for government. Thank you for all that you do and showing that this is really possible.
Many of you know about our brigade program. We have 30 brigades in 30 cities. We have 56 captains leading these brigades with over 3,000 volunteers. So these are people with full-time jobs. These are people raising families. These are people carving out time to make our cities better. And they're teaching us new ways and new models for how citizens can actually get engaged, working side by side, government and community leaders to make a difference. Could we have the brigade folks stand up? Recognize your great work and commitment.
Yeah. Woo.
There's a lot of work happening across the globe, a lot of interesting work happening internationally, including in our program, the Code for All program. We currently have 6 countries participating, 3 countries implementing and piloting fellowship programs in Mexico and in Germany and Jamaica. And we have 3 pilots in the Brigade program in Poland, Ireland, and Japan. This is an opportunity for us to take our work broadly and understand what works in different cultures and different environments and different circumstances. And so if we could ask the international folks to stand up and recognize your great work.
Bob assures me he didn't start that program just to travel more. Of course, none of this would be possible without the support of our partners, like the Sunlight Foundation or Open Plans, our funders like Google.org, Knight Foundation, and OMDR, and the sponsors of this event. Look around. It's a pretty nice venue. You're going to enjoy the next couple of days. And it's thanks to our sponsors like Yahoo, like Palantir, like Acela, and like Omidyar Network for making that happen. We're going to speak some more about the different funders and how they made this event possible throughout the event. But right now, I just want to say, if you've given an hour, if you've given $1, or you've given a lot more to Code for America, thank you for all that you've done. Could all the funders and partners please rise?
And finally, CfA staff. I've worked in a lot of places, and I have never worked in a place where every day this group of people raises the bar on what's doable and what's accomplishable. It's remarkable. These are tireless, talented individuals that we have the pleasure of working with every day. So could we ask the CfA staff to stand up?
Yeah. There's actually a lot more of them back in the green room and running around. So give them the hug, actually, if you see them. They put in way too many hours into making this work. So that's the network, right? That's the people in this room. That's Code for America. And for being here, you've really stepped up. And each of you, to come here, have done something really special, whether it's building an application, whether it's changing a policy, whether it's attending an event or a hackathon, or whether it's supporting Code for America directly. You've made this possible.
You have.
Usually works better. So what we want to talk about now is just a brief preview of the event that you're going to have over the next couple of days. We're going to get off stage soon. Clay Shirky's up next, and it's going to be a lot more compelling. But we thought it might be helpful, give it time. So it might be helpful to give you a little bit of a preview of what to expect. So we've set this up as a 3-day agenda, right? So days 1 and 2 are really about showing what's possible, and day 3 is about putting that to work. I'm going to give you a little preview of days 1 and 2, and then Bob can explain day 3. So if you've been here in the past, you know a lot of what we talk about are apps, and we showcase a lot of the technology that's being built. And you're going to hear about some great apps being built here. You're going to hear about an app in San Mateo County that helps people find social services. One in San Francisco that keeps people from being kicked off of those social services for not filling paperwork. You're going to hear about one in Louisville that actually helps the criminal justice system become more efficient and work better. But beyond the apps, you're going to hear about the impact that they're having. Because we at Code for America believe that apps have a legacy that's beyond the technology. Apps change things. And that's what we're going to talk about today. First, you're going to hear about how the apps have actually started creating institutional innovation inside City Hall. Nigel, Jacob, and the Boston team are going to come up here and say, this idea they had 5 or so years ago, the mayor's office of new urban mechanics, well, that idea, the idea of creating a space to innovate, has taken off nationally. To our count, there are 13 different innovation offices by name, and in fact, by definition, far more. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what do you do with those spaces to experiment? How do you create them, and what do you do? And so then you're going to hear from Shannon Spinaki, Alistair Kroll, about that topic specifically. How are they creating these spaces to innovate? Then later you're going to hear about leading from the bottom up, how cities and states are finding ways to innovate themselves out of trouble, how they're able to solve core problems using technology. In fact, Mayor Pete Buttigieg from South Bend, who, by the way, is almost as old as me, if not younger, and is the mayor of a city of 250,000 people, so that annoys me. But he's a great guy, and he's going to come up here, and he's going to tell you that he had a big problem. Their pipes, their sewer system, was going to burst because it was old. It's going to cost them $100 million. But because they leveraged technology in a creative way, they were able to innovate themselves out of that problem. There's a Metropolitan Revolution happening, and we're going to talk about that. Then tomorrow, you're going to hear about how we're changing the conversation, how citizens and government are working together in a new and in a different way. Dan O'Neill from Chicago is going to take the stage, and he's going to tell you about their program to take technology into places where it usually wasn't before, into underrepresented and underserved communities, get them to give feedback on the tools, and all the while, of course, get them to use the tools themselves. Then we're going to switch it up and talk about data. But the data we're going to talk about is beyond transparency. You're going to hear that phrase a lot over the next couple of days. How do we move beyond transparency? And you're going to hear from the whole panel of folks about how they're using data to change the way they work. You're going to hear about Denise Ross from the city of New Orleans, who, if you guys recall from last year, deployed this to a blight status. And that itself was powerful. You remember they said it changed the conversation? Well, it changed the conversation in the community, but also in City Hall. And she's going to tell you how they're now talking about blight and the data around it in a different way. And then finally, we're going to talk about redesigning government. How is the system, the interfaces to government being changed? You're going to hear from Mark Head from the city of Philadelphia, how he's actually using GitHub to change the way how procurement works. You heard Bob talk about how we have to take on some of those knotty processes that are stifling innovation. Well, you're going to hear about how that's happening. So those are the themes that you're going to hear about throughout this conference, but you're also going to see something new. David mentioned at the start that we're starting to get into deeper and deeper problems, and Jen said that our funders are coming to us and saying, take on these other challenges. Well, we're going to talk about that. Actually, this morning, we're going to talk about how we're diving into healthcare and human services and trying to reform that space. You're going to hear about criminal justice reform and what's happening there, and also economic development. And all of the cities in attendance know that that's probably priority number one for your mayor. And we're going to talk about how that's changing through technology. So those are the stories you're going to hear on this stage over the next 2 days. And these are stories about what's possible. But once you've heard those stories, it's up to you to figure out how you're going to put them to work and put them to work together. And Bob is going to tell you how we're going to do that on day 3.
Yeah, so as Abhi said, the first 2 days are really about hearing stories, understanding people's points of view. Day 3 is really your day, and in fact, it's been designed by you. We have about 60 sessions that we currently have, and by the way, if there are those of you out there who are passionate about wanting to lead a small group session, there's still time to do that. But this agenda is an opportunity for us to come together in small groups and around issues that we care about. As we said, roll up our sleeves and create, in Jack Madden's words, a collective to-do list. So day 3 is about taking the advantage of all of us being together in the same place, getting together in small groups about things that we really care about, and understanding and defining what we need to do to move this movement forward.
That's right. So that's what you can expect over the next 3 days. As David said, it's a different conference from before. It's bigger. It's a different venue. So we're asking you, everyone in this audience, to hack it, to make it your own. We've made really long breaks, really long lunches, and a lot of parties. So use those as a chance to connect with each other. Because that's really important. See, I always think about this. It's a crazy thing that we did. We set up each of our governments, each of our cities, each of our states as silos. You're doing the same thing over and over again, but we're not learning from each other. We're not coming together. Well, we have now. We're here. So take advantage of these next 3 days to see how you can work together, how you can collaborate, and how we can code the next chapter of American history. Thank you.
Thank you.